There are whispers older than time itself, stories buried in dust and darkness passed down through cracked lips and flickering firelight. Long before Hollywood gave us silver bullets and snarling monsters, there were myths, legends, ancient truths, half-remembered and wholly feared. We begin our journey not in foggy forests or windswept castles, but under the burning sun of ancient Mesopotamia, where gods wore animal skins and the line between man and beast was thin, dangerously thin. In the myth of Inanna, the Sumerian goddess of love and war, we find one of the earliest known references to lycanthropy. When Inanna descends into the underworld, she is stripped of her power, her titles, her clothing, everything. Upon her return, she seeks revenge, and in her wrath, she transforms men into wolves. Not beasts of the wilderness, but cursed creatures, cast out from society. To be a wolf in Mesopotamia was to be exiled, shunned, marked for death. Not all werewolves were born from bites or bloodlust. Some were created by the gods themselves. Fast forward to the ancient Greeks, where tales of transformation take on a more philosophical shade. The story of King Lycaon of Arcadia is perhaps the most infamous. As legend has it, Lycaon dared to test Zeus by serving him the flesh of a sacrificed child. The punishment was swift and savage. Zeus struck him down with a bolt of lightning and turned him into a wolf. The message was clear: stray too far from the divine and you become the very thing civilization fears. Even the great philosopher Pliny the Elder wrote of men who could transform into wolves and return to human form, after 9 years, provided they harmed no one during that time. Here, transformation was both curse and trial, an ordeal of the soul, not just the body. In Roman mythology, the wolf was a creature of contradictions. Revered in the legend of Romulus and Remus, suckled by a she-wolf and destined to found Rome, yet feared in the shadowy corners of the empire. Roman soldiers stationed in distant hostile lands carried with them stories of wolf-men, half-man, half-beast creatures that prowled the darkness, emerging from the barbarian forests of Gaul and Germania. As the Roman Empire expanded, so too did its stories. Myths traveled with soldiers, merchants, and exiles, spreading like wildfire, weaving their way into the fabric of distant cultures. With every retelling, the creature shifted, its shape distorted, but always the essence remained: man and beast, locked in one skin, divided by instinct and morality. From Mesopotamia to Rome, werewolf myths were never just about monsters. They were metaphors, warnings, mirrors held up to our basest impulses. They showed us what we might become if we ever lost control, and control is so very easy to lose, isn't it? The howl of the wolf is not confined to one land, one language, or one legend. It echoes across continents, shifting form, shifting meaning, yet always haunting, always primal. The werewolf is not a Western myth. It is a global phenomenon, and in every culture it reveals something different about the people who fear it. Let us begin with the Native American tribes of the American Southwest, where tales of the skinwalker are whispered only in hushed tones. According to Navajo tradition, a skinwalker, Yinaldlushi, is a malevolent witch who can transform into any animal they desire. They wear the hides of beasts, often wolves or coyotes, and stalk the night with glowing eyes. Unlike European werewolves, skinwalkers are not cursed. They choose their path, committing horrific acts to gain their powers. They are not victims of the moon. They are predators of the soul. And worst of all, they were once human, perhaps still are. In Japan, the forests are home to a different kind of shapeshifter. The baked tanuki, raccoon dogs with supernatural powers, can change their appearance, often into humans. They're mischievous, even playful, but their illusions can lead travelers astray, making them lose their way forever. While not traditionally violent, the baked tanuki remind us that shapeshifting is not always a curse. It can be a trick, a test, or a punishment. In Africa, particularly among the Yoruba people of Nigeria, we encounter the myth of the abiku, spirit, children who die and return to be born again, cycling through grief and reincarnation. Some versions tell of abiku who take animal form, slipping into the world as wolves or leopards to escape their destiny. These creatures, neither fully spirit nor fully flesh, represent the liminal state between life and death, belonging and exile. In Scandinavia, warriors once believed that by donning the pelts of wolves and entering a blood-frenzied trance, they could fight with inhuman strength. These Ulfhednar, the wolfcoats, were the Norse equivalent of berserkers, men who became beasts in battle, feared even by their own kin. To become the wolf was a path to power, not punishment, a ritual of dominance. In the Philippines, stories tell of the aswang, a vampiric shapeshifter that can take the form of a dog, pig, or bird. It stalks pregnant women and newborns, feasting on their flesh. Though more vampire than werewolf in Western terms, the transformation into animal form and the duality of its existence echo familiar themes. Across the globe, the werewolf, or its cultural counterpart, is shaped by its environment. In colder climates, it emerges from the forests cloaked in fur and blood. In deserts, it slinks through the dunes, eyes glowing in the heat. In islands, it comes with the tide, half fish, half ghost. But some things never change. These creatures, in all their variations, embody transformation, wildness, the terror of losing control, or of those around us losing it. What ties them all together is more than fangs or fur. It's the fear of what lies beneath our skin, that, behind every mask of civility, is something untamed, something ancient, something hungry. The forests of medieval Europe were thick with shadows, dark, impenetrable woods that swallowed the sun and whispered secrets only the brave or the damned would dare to hear. It was here, amid plague, famine, and fear, that the werewolf myth took on its most sinister form. In the Middle Ages, the werewolf became more than a monster. It became a symbol of evil incarnate. The church, desperate to maintain control over an increasingly chaotic world, began associating lycanthropy with witchcraft and demonic possession. To become a wolf was no longer just a punishment from the gods. It was a pact with the devil himself. Witch hunters scoured villages and towns, searching for signs of the beast. A man with a strange scar, a woman who wandered the woods alone, a child who howled in their sleep. Any of these could be marks of a loup-garou, the French name for werewolf. Trials were held, often based on superstition and hysteria. Confessions were extracted under torture, and when the flames rose high into the night sky, people believed they were burning the beast out of their world. But no fire can kill a legend. One of the most chilling cases was that of Peter Stump, the werewolf of Bedburg, tried and executed in 1589. According to records, he confessed to being a werewolf for over 25 years, using a magical belt given to him by the devil to transform at will. His crimes? Cannibalism, infanticide, and dark sorcery. Whether he was a murderer, a scapegoat, or merely a man broken under torture remains a mystery. But his story fed the growing fire of fear across Europe. Fiction blurred with reality, and reality was soaked in blood. Werewolves crept into art and architecture, etched into cathedral walls, and carved into the wooden beams of peasant homes. Stories were passed from tongue to trembling tongue, of lone travelers found torn apart near crossroads, of wolves walking upright in the moonlight, their eyes unnervingly human. It wasn't just superstition. Real wolves roamed the countryside, and their attacks were devastating. In France, during the 18th century, the infamous beast of Gévaudan killed over 100 people. Witnesses described it as a monstrous wolf, but one that seemed immune to bullets, cunning beyond comprehension, and capable of vanishing like mist. Some said it was just a wolf. Others whispered, werewolf. These attacks only solidified the creature's hold on the European psyche. The forest was not just home to wolves, it was home to something darker, something that looked like you, spoke like you, but was not you. Even as reason and science began to take root during the Enlightenment, the legend endured. In the quiet spaces between logic and fear, the werewolf remained, because deep down, no matter how rational we pretend to be, we are all still afraid of the beast in the woods. When the silver screen was young, so too was its appetite for monsters. It began with a shadow, flickering black and white reels that twisted the ancient myth into something both tragic and terrifying. In 1941, the Wolfman changed everything. With its fog-drenched forests and haunting transformation sequences, it didn't just tell a story, it defined one. Lon Chaney Jr., doomed and cursed, gave the werewolf a face audiences would never forget. Hair sprouting from human skin, bones cracking. The man becoming beast against his will, against his nature. And behind it all, the full moon rising like an eye that sees all. From that moment forward, werewolves became cinematic icons. And yet, even as they evolved, they never lost the tragic core. The curse of the werewolf is never just about violence. It's about identity, about the monster within. In the 1980s, a new wave of horror brought the transformation into the light, literally. No longer hidden behind edits or implication, films like An American Werewolf in London and The Howling delivered grotesquely realistic metamorphoses, stretching flesh and snapping joints in painstaking detail. The terror wasn't just in the killing, it was in the change. Watching humanity peel away. But the werewolf, ever adaptable, soon took on new skins. In the early 2000s, a surprising transformation occurred. No longer just monsters, werewolves became romantic anti-heroes, often cast as protectors or tortured lovers. In Twilight, Jacob Black shifted effortlessly between human charm and lupine power, drawing millions into his orbit. He wasn't a mindless killer. He was loyal, brave, passionate. And then came the modern hybrids. In shows like Teen Wolf, being human, and the originals, werewolves weren't isolated beasts. They were part of a society, packs, politics, bloodlines. Their stories reflected human drama just as much as primal rage. The werewolf stopped being the outsider. It became a metaphor for adolescence, rage, trauma, even addiction. No longer a curse, but a condition. Even in unexpected places, the myth persisted. In The Shape of Water, while not a werewolf story per se, the film borrowed from the same ancient theme. Beast and man, fear and fascination, otherness and intimacy, the beauty and the beast retold once more. Video games too joined the pack. Titles like Bloodborne, The Witcher, and The Elder Scrolls allow players to walk in furred feet, offering power at the price of humanity. Transformation becomes gameplay. The beast is not just a threat, it's a tool, a choice. Werewolves have become everything from symbols of rebellion to sexual awakenings, from cautionary tales to cultural reflections. They are used to explore the duality of the self, the nature of violence, and the thrill of losing control, because deep down, every viewer, every reader, every gamer who follows the werewolf story is asking the same question: what would I become if I let go? The werewolf is no longer just a creature of folklore or film. It has become a living symbol, malleable, modern, and still very much alive. In today's world, where identity is both fluid and fiercely defended, the werewolf myth remains a potent metaphor. Transformation, duality, hidden nature, rage, repression, it's all still there, just repackaged through new mediums for new eyes. Take, for instance, the world of video games. In Red Dead Redemption 2, players can stumble across strange, unexplainable sightings in the woods. A man, wild-eyed, covered in hair, chained in a hidden cabin. Is he mad or something more? These hidden moments, tucked away in open worlds, keep the myth alive, not through direct storytelling, but through discovery. It's no longer just about the monster, it's about what we're willing to believe. Social media too has become fertile ground for the werewolf's return. On TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram, creators spin viral tales of mysterious howls in the night, found footage transformations, and POV-style videos where someone looks into the camera, pupils dilating, as the full moon rises behind them. The digital age has given rise to a new breed of storytellers, and the werewolf walks again. This time in vertical video. Books like The Last Werewolf by Glenn Duncan or Hemlock Grove by Brian McGreevy give us werewolves that are deeply introspective, philosophical, even existential. These aren't monsters, these are thinkers, with claws. Even outside of horror, the werewolf has found new meaning. The beast no longer represents something to fear, but something to become, a rejection of society's expectations, a reclamation of wildness, and in therapy circles, discussions of the inner beast have become a way to describe repressed anger, trauma, or destructive impulses, helping people understand that what they bury doesn't disappear, it grows teeth. We are no longer afraid of the werewolf, we are learning to speak to it. Modern werewolves appear in graphic novels, anime, podcasts, and tabletop role-playing games. Each interpretation adds another layer, another perspective, from monstrous to misunderstood, from predator to protector, from horror to hope. And still, the moon rises, because no matter how many centuries pass, or how many times we reinvent the myth, the werewolf endures, not because of fur or fangs, but because it speaks to something primal inside all of us. The fear of losing control, the thrill of transformation, the truth that we are not always who we pretend to be. In a world obsessed with masks, the werewolf tears them off. So if you ever find yourself walking alone beneath a full moon and the wind carries a low, growling howl through the trees, don't unlisten, because every myth has a heartbeat and the werewolf's heart still beats wild, untamed, and eternal. If you enjoyed this story and want more chilling legends and terrifying tales, make sure to like this video. It really helps us out. You can also click on our Ultimate Werewolf playlist to watch more horror and cryptid stories. The link is in the description below. And if you love horror, folklore, and unexplained mysteries, subscribe to the channel and join our growing community of fear seekers. But don't stop there. Turn on notifications by clicking the bell icon so you never miss a new story. Because in the world of horror, the scariest things happen when you least expect them. And trust me, you don't want to be left in the dark. Welcome to the darkness.